Welcome to Happy on Purpose with Janess Pearson. Real conversations with the people behind the businesses, the projects, and the good things happening in the Okanagan.
Today's guest is Garry McCracken, creator of the Road to Valour. We had just said you don't like the word creator, but it's a funny word because you really are all, but we will say the team leader of the Road to Valour, a 2,700 kilometer unsupported bicycle journey from Vancouver to Winnipeg in support of veteran and first responders' mental health through Wounded Warriors Canada. But this project is about much more than just a bike ride. Garry is a 22-year veteran of the Canadian Army, the son and grandson of veterans, and someone deeply interested in the lasting impact service can have, not only on those who wear the uniform, but on the families who live alongside it. The Road to Valour also shines a light on Canadian military history, honoring Victoria Cross recipients whose stories many Canadians have never heard, while also challenging the idea that aging means slowing down or stepping away from meaningful adventures. I'm so grateful that you're here, Garry. This is such an important story, and through the conversation that we were just having, I think one that doesn't get enough airtime. So I'm so grateful for you to be here and talk about this topic.
Thank you for the opportunity. Much appreciated.
Let's just get into it because I know we'll probably be easy to get 40 minutes in. So before we even talk about the ride itself, who were you before all of this and what originally led you into military service?
Well, as you mentioned, my family was military. My father was a military engineer. Both of my grandfathers were military engineers. And so there was a family tradition there. And my father reinforced that idea with me to the point where, if you remember the movie Officer and a Gentleman?
Yes.
Well, Richard Gere was the officer cadet.
The lead, I think, yeah.
Yeah, well, when I went through the School of Military Engineering in my final year of training, my father was a school sergeant major. So although I outranked him technically, he reminded me frequently to keep my my heels together and to refer to him as sir, because he was calling me sir.
Right. Is that elders? They respect your elders, right?
Oh, well, elders, but the sergeant major is the disciplinarian.
Okay.
He is the top dog from that perspective. Yes. So, as I say, although I outranked him on a technical basis, he made sure it wasn't.
Right. Do you think that was handed down from his? Was your grandpa also?
Well, we can get into that aspect. My grandfather, on my father's side, was a student at McGill when the First World War broke out, and he signed up in the engineers as a sapper, a private in the engineers. Went through the entire war, won the Military Cross twice. The Military Medal was mentioned in dispatches. One of the most highly decorated engineers in the First World War. He was at the front line all the time, never physically injured, but came home with what we call PTSD.
Yeah. They
called shell shock and had no treatment for. Look at you, you're a fine specimen of a man, go away.
And don't talk about it when you come home.
Exactly. Yeah. And so he ended up taking a dive into a bottle, but at the same time started up a lumber business, forestry business in Quebec. Second World War came along, and he signed up again as a company commander with the Canadian Forestry Corps, which was part of the engineers. He was sent to Scotland to harvest wood for the war effort. Wrong place to send an alcoholic with a mental disorder is the Highlands of Scotland. He didn't last the war. He died in early 1945. My father has never really gotten close to my. I mean, he had donated my grandfather's medals to a museum. I wanted them back. And he said, "Why do you want them? They're of no value. He didn't really do much, you know." But what my grandfather went through got embedded into his genes, generational trauma that passed on to my father, as I understand it. It got passed on to me. I passed it to my kids. And I mean, to the point where my daughter was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, and through I mean, she was living in a rather toxic environment in Toronto, but beyond that, what she was doing because of her mental state, of her syndrome, she ended up drinking herself to death, doing the same thing my grandfather did. So she was only 37.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think that's also like, and I'll probably say this so much, those are the unspoken parts. We know that the wounded inner child can impact generations. Where it begins, we never really know. But then you throw in something like being a first responder, a war vet, somebody who, and specifically men. Now there are more women going into service, but societally, we treat men so different than the women. The women will get called something else, bipolar, maybe we're just a little anxious, whatever. For men, it's almost, you just don't get a diagnosis.
It's this, although the walls are starting to break down in the military and with first responders, there's still too much of the be a man.
Yeah.
Be strong. You know, don't show weakness. And if you say that you've got a mental problem, that's showing weakness. I've known that through my entire military career, I knew I had a problem.
Yeah.
But if I'd said anything, there's the door.
Well, I was going to say, is that still a thing? Because I know it was heavy. I never did a lot of work with first responders or like real crisis work in my practice. But there would be services for the police or the, paramedics, the war veterans maybe, but nobody wanted to use them. Because the second you got found out that you used the service, you were passed over, you were not promoted, you might even be demoted. And I feel like that is another unspoken stigma.
I had a very high security clearance in the military. And it was very clear to me that security clearance would have been downgraded substantially had I made mention.
And the irony is, if you can get the help, you can stay and perform at a higher level for a longer period of time.
Yep, absolutely.
But we just don't talk about it.
But it also goes beyond service, after service. I have a friend whose husband was in the military, was being sent over to Afghanistan, and in the final exercise before they were sent over, he had an accident. He damaged his back and hit badly. He was taken off the deployment and was given a medical discharge. Several of his buddies were killed over there. So now he has survivor guilt, and a lot of other things that go along with it. I mean, I don't have to tell you that. You're the professional, I'm not. But it's a sort of thing that she will not allow him to be alone.
Yeah.
But he won't ask for help.
Of course.
Because he doesn't deserve it. They died. He's home.
Yeah. That is so layered. There's so many places that I could go, but we're only going to get to question 2 if we stay on this.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've described, and I think actually maybe you even summed it up pretty well in just that forward conversation, but being the son and grandson of veterans, like how much did military culture, I think that's the part that I'm curious about, the culture shape your identity growing up? Is it like the sons and daughters of doctors that they want to be doctors? Was it just sort of known that you would be military?
My father made sure I knew that I was going to be.
Right.
Not only did he know, did he make sure that I knew that I was going to be in the military, but he also made me sure that I knew that I was going to be a military engineer, and that I was going to go to RMC, and it goes on and on and on.
So had it planned.
It was all planned. See, he had applied to for commissioning from the ranks. Okay, he wanted to become an officer, but he was denied. So he was living vicariously through me, I think.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, we always want better for our children. So in his head, he's probably thinking that would be better. That was the higher goal for him.
But for a sergeant major, for a non-commissioned officer, as he was, the way they talk about officers, you sort of wonder why. But no, but growing up, if you're an Army brat, you're in the Army. So the first 40 years of my life, I was in the Army.
Right.
Whether I wore the uniform or not, I was in the Army.
Yeah. That's a curious, I haven't heard that in a long time, being an Army brat, or, that idea of moving around. Did you move around a lot? Did you have to kind of go where?
Yeah.
Oh, so new schools, new everything.
Knew everything. It worked hard on my head in many respects.
Yeah.
Because let's see how to put this. Yes, I moved around an awful lot. Before I left high school, I'd lived in England twice, Germany once, Quebec 3 or 4 times, Ontario, BC, Chilliwack I've lived in, I don't know, half a dozen times.
Yeah.
I was back and forth. That meant I was accustomed to getting to know people.
Yes.
But not making friends.
Acquaintances, surface level.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so that was very difficult. And that played on my head as well.
Oh, for sure.
So it's a tough life. It really is. But, on the other side of it, I lived in England during Beatlemania. Many of the years that I grew up, I was in Germany, but all across the country. It was...
In hindsight,
if I could measure the value of my childhood, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it also had its impacts.
Right. Did any of your kids go into...
No,
military.
No.
So would you say this is cycle broken, or just a pivot? Let them decide from this point forward.
The one thing that I decided long before kids came along was I wasn't going to push them.
Yeah.
I would help, but I would suggest, but decisions had to be theirs.
Right.
And I would work with those decisions.
Yeah. Probably a healthier way, right?
I think so, but then again, the next generation might have different ideas.
Yeah. That's how it goes. We have these kids and we hope for the best, and you do the best that you know how to do. And that I always said, my kids may not get a college fund, but they will have a counseling fund. So at any rate, one of the things that I really loved was your email, and even meeting you at the Rotary the other morning is just your honesty about the impact service can have, not only on the person serving, but on the family. So what have you come to understand that you could share with us about that over the years?
Well, if I can use an example.
Sure.
Okay, not my example. Humboldt Broncos bus crash a few years ago. Brutal. Okay, now think about what happened on the scene. Over 100 first responders showed up. Paramedics, firefighters, police, everybody. They all went about doing their job exactly the way they had been trained to.
Yes.
then they go home. How do you take seeing all of those strong, virile, young bodies strewn all over the place
Yeah.
and not have it blow up at home?
Yeah.
You know, so it's a sort of thing that, and this is where that be strong, suck it up, don't show weakness thing
It's
comes
just
in.
another day on the job. You
Yeah.
signed up for it.
Keep it bottled,
Yeah.
keep it bottled, keep it bottled, and eventually it explodes.
Yeah.
The spouse sort of has the experience to understand that there is something going on, but doesn't know exactly what to do or how to help. The kids haven't got a clue.
Yeah.
The kids take it personally. It's my fault. Dad or mom are going through this, and it's something I did because they exploded at me.
Yes.
Okay, which is the wrong thing. But not only all of that, I mean, the trauma. I mean, those first responders who were that attended to that scene, that's a traumatic experience.
Oh,
it's going to get
major.
so ingrained into their DNA and get passed on to other generations. Which gets me to, and we haven't talked about Wounded Warriors Canada yet, but this is a perfect spot to talk about one of the programs that they have that is, as far as I'm concerned, the best one they've got. And it's called Warrior Kids Camp,
Okay.
where they take, well, they got it both in-person camps, weekend camps, or week-long camp, I'm not sure which. And then they've got because kids are really good with the computers and everything else, they've got the online version as well, the virtual. But they take the kids into these camps, real life or virtual, and they first of all teach them, look around. These other kids are doing the same thing that you're doing. They're going through the same thing that you're going through. It's not your fault.
Yes.
Okay? They're teaching them that those kids around them, they're a good resource. So learn who they are so you can phone them up and talk to them. They teach them coping mechanisms so that they understand what their parent is going through. Sort of like teaching them, well, if your parent starts acting like this, go give them a hug. Might help.
Yes.
But if they start acting like this, go to your room and just be quiet. Put your headphones on. Just be quiet. But if they start acting like this, pick up the phone, call your contact, whoever has been organized, and say, can I come over for dinner?
Yeah. It reminds me a little of having a sponsor in like an AA or something where you get all the tools, you can do a lot of it, but that you're not in it alone, that there's a shared experience. In fact, the big book for AA is all just shared stories, right? So it's that, I love that you said that it almost feels to me like you're intentionally creating a support system.
It is.
For the children of, is Wounded Warriors just Army, Navy,
No.
is it
Wounded Warriors Canada help all first responders, military veterans, and 911 operators and other sorts of people like that who are, they've got a technical term, and I'm not a medical professional, so I haven't got a clue what the technical term is, but it's anybody like that that can experience trauma, because I'm going to imagine that it's a 911 operator.
Anything that's that high stress human dealing with crisis and things that the normal, quote unquote, general population does not see.
Yeah.
You know, you think about even just, there's books written about when your first pet dies, how to support your child through that. Nobody, to my knowledge, which means if there's an author out there needs to write a book, or maybe you do, of having a series of books for children that are of families of first responders. We need that information.
Absolutely.
And it is a select group. It is a very unique group of children and family dynamics. Well, that's pretty cool. So we'll hear more probably about Wounded Warriors later. You said that the Road to Valour started taking shape almost a decade ago as a way of giving back. What was happening in your life emotionally or personally that made you feel called towards something bigger? And the next question, I do address your age because you don't look your age. So those people on...
Checks in the mail.
Yeah, right. The people that are only hearing it on the radio, you're starting this journey on your 75th birthday.
Right.
That is amazing. But you look 60.
Well, thank you.
So I think
checks in the mail.
That's all your health. Yeah, that's probably all the health benefits.
Okay, so I was staring 65 in the face, and I was going to become a senior citizen. Holy crap. You know?
We all are having that realization.
Yeah. And so, oh my, look, and so it was a time. It was a time in my life where I just sat back and said, well, let me see. I've lived in 6 countries outside of Canada. I lived in Germany when the wall came down. I lived in England during Beatlemania. I lived in fact, I was literally between the front lines of the Israeli army and the Egyptian army when Anwar Sadat flew into Israel to start the peace process. I haven't had a hand in forming history, but I've been able to observe some amazing things. So I said, well, I've had this good life, so now it's time to give back. Well, at the time, triathlon was big in my life. I was quite competitive. Yep. My wife loved triathlon as well. She just didn't want to be last. Apart from that, it was about participation. Me, if I didn't get on the podium, I was upset with myself. For age group podium, not the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyways, when I turned 65, I hosted a triathlon. 650 meter swim, 65 kilometer bike ride, 6.5 kilometer run. Wow. If you're checking on the numbers there, try 65.
Yeah.
Okay. And friends and family and the like, and I raised money and donated to the local food bank, to the Salvation Army, which I also do some work with, and to the hospital foundation in Kelowna. So that one went over really well. Somebody asked me, so what are you going to do for your 70th? I said, I don't know, ride across the country. That was the first thing that came.
Planted. Yeah.
That was the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah.
But when I turned 70, we were in the middle of COVID. Yeah. Or not in the middle, but it was yeah. And so what I organized a blood drive because I'm a blood donor as well. I think I'm 170 is the number I'm at right now.
Amazing.
So I got a hold of friends and family and got over 70 donations of blood, plasma, and whatnot from 7 different countries. So then 75, 3/4 of a century. The mental health thing has really been weighing on me heavily since my daughter passed. Mm-hmm. But also my own problems, and I gotta throw this in right now while I think about it. I was facing a knee replacement.
Yep.
And one of the things that the surgeon said was, if you continue running like you're doing, because I was doing 20, 25 kilometers a week, sometimes more, he said, I'm not cutting. Because
there'll be nothing to cut through.
No, it had to do with the design life of the titanium knee. 25 years is the design life. And he said, if you run, you're going to be in here again in 10 to 12 years. And the second time is not going to go as well as the first time. So I had to give up running. Well, running was my way, the endorphins, the adrenaline, all of those good hormones that flow through your body when you exercise, that's what kept my head straight. And then So I mentioned this to one of the ladies at Veterans Affairs when I was talking to them about some other things, and she said, "You should apply for mental health benefits."
Yeah, the old voice creeps up.
Yeah, be strong, be a man. Yep. Then I got the same story from another lady a couple months later. Okay, let me think about it. So I sat down at the computer and walked away from it, sat down again, walked away from it, sat down, and back and forth for a while. Eventually I got the application done, hit the send button, and I said, that'll be the last time. That's the last time I hear from them for, well, my knee took 30 years.
Oh boy.
Okay. But I figured that's the last time I hear from them for a long time. 2 hours later, I'm sitting watching television. I get an email. Ding. Veterans Affairs.
Amazing.
My status has changed. Yeah, okay, fine. They got my application. It's there. I now have a number. And about 15 minutes later, I got another one. They granted me temporary mental health benefits. 2 years. And in that 2 years, I went through a day-long assessment with a psychologist.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
That was Veterans Affairs?
Veterans Affairs
Yep.
Canada.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, 2 hours? I mean, that's amazing.
That is really good. I'm actually really happy to hear that, because to get a psych eval right now in the Okanagan for youth or anyone is months at best.
But having Veterans Affairs
Which is
pushing
perfect.
it.
Yes.
And I get to see a psychologist. I get, not only do I get to see the psychologist, but Veterans Affairs pays for me to drive to the psychologist and back, and all sorts of other things like that. So it's a good thing. If I needed drugs.
This was long after your military career.
Oh, yeah.
So for listeners, I'm just thinking, for anybody that's listening, because our demographic is 50 plus, that this is not just for people in active service. This is for the literal veterans, and to hear your words.
Yeah, Veterans Affairs works with people out of uniform. If you're still wearing a uniform, they'll tell you to go away.
Why?
Politely.
Is there, because there's probably other services.
Well, then you're part of National Defense.
Right. Okay.
You transition to Veterans Affairs as soon as you take off the uniform.
Okay.
Okay? So where were we? I sidelined this along.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I've got my questions. I can find us again, Garry. You know what? I feel like it's a perfect time to just reintroduce you, because we're about at the halfway point. For those of you that are just tuning in, I'm here with Garry McCracken, the team leader of the Road to Valour, a 2,700-kilometer bicycle journey across Canada supporting veterans and first responder mental health through Wounded Warriors Canada, while also honoring Canadian military history. Not that, I'm a big one for age is not a limitation, but it is important to say this is on your 75th birthday. So for anybody that's coming up to 60, the seniors, it depends where you go. You could be a senior at 55, I found out. But there's still so much you can do.
Well, part of what this is all about is showing people that just because you're retired, life is not over. There is so much more that can be done. I mean, you're with Rotary, so you know that older adults can play an incredible role. It doesn't necessarily have to be a physical role like this, but physicality helps get you into a point where people will say, "Oh, you only look 60."
Exactly. Exactly. Well, we do need to keep moving for sure.
I look at things sort of like the three-legged milking stool. Okay.
I've got a visual.
Okay. So, and through my life, I've sat on that stool and it's been really wobbly. Okay. Sometimes one leg is really short and the other ones are too long or things like that. But the three legs, one is basically your physical health. One is your mental health. The other one is your emotional health. Those are the terms I use.
They're accurate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not bad for a poor dumb engineer, huh?
Awesome. I think you're more skilled and more versed than you give yourself credit.
So anyways, as you go through life, you've got to keep those legs balanced. Otherwise, you're going to fall off the chair. And for me, the emotional side got so bad. In fact, and with that, I let the physical side deteriorate badly. And I almost fell off the chair. In fact, I tried to jump off the chair.
Yeah.
This was after a business had collapsed, my family had collapsed. I attempted suicide. I'm very happy to say that I'm a total failure at suicide.
Yeah. We're glad you are too, Garry.
Yeah, but you know, it is the sort of thing that you've got to keep those three things balanced. So I exercise a lot. In fact, when I turned 60, I became a personal trainer.
Amazing.
Okay, only working with people 50 and over. I don't do that too much anymore. I'm trying to get the heck out of that.
Well, you're busy riding across Canada.
Well,
it's kind of hard to.
Let me correct you on that. I'm only going halfway across the country.
Well, it feels like all the way across to me. To Winnipeg is far enough.
Yeah. But I'll have those mosquitoes flying with me to pick me up and help me along.
Carry you, yeah.
And so the academic, the mental side. I was doing a presentation on healthy aging, and one guy came up to me afterwards and said, "You're an engineer. What the hell do you really know about this stuff?" And two things went through my mind. One, I probably forgotten more than you'll ever know, as the old line goes. The other one was, that's a good point. So I went back to school. I went to UBCO and got a master's of science in health and exercise science. So now I've got a piece of paper on the wall that says I know what I'm talking about. Okay? And so that's part of it. And then the emotional side of things, that's the one I struggle with the most. But it is the sort of thing that Rotary helps me. Doing things like this helps me. Getting out and talking to people about what our military has done overseas in peace and in war really helps me. And so these are all things. So my three-legged stool right now is pretty balanced.
Good.
Okay.
And that's such a great visual for people too, because I think as a society and culturally, we focus so much on the physical, right? Like you had said before, movies, Netflix, social media, all the rest. I can speak for women. It's stay young, stay youthful, stay beautiful, stay, all the rest. For men, it's stay virile, fit, engaged, strong. And there comes a point where you're like, what?
Yeah, most of it is balderdash.
Yeah. We can say BS.
We can say BS?
We can say BS.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah. So this one is interesting for me, and if it's still relevant, let me know. But you mentioned that Canadians have never heard of people like Leo Major or Piper James Richardson.
Right.
Why do you think Canada has such a complicated or quiet relationship with its military history?
Ever watched a hockey game?
I've watched a hockey game. A few hockey games.
Okay, well, the thing is, I think the military and hockey there's a certain similarity. We're quiet. We're peaceful. We're please and thank you. We're all of that until the gloves drop. Canada went into the First World War, and the Germans, who were accepted as the power, the military power in the world, nobody questioned that. Looked at us and said, colonials, British equipment, British uniforms, British officers, more Brits to deal with. Have you ever heard the term shock troop?
Yes. I know I haven't thought much about it, but yeah.
It's a term that the Germans created for Canadians. That's how they described Canadians.
Interesting.
By the end of the war, the Canadians were the only ones the Germans feared. Not concerned themselves with, but absolutely feared. To give you an example, towards the end of the war, the Germans, knowing that the Americans were coming in with lots of people, they put on a massive assault. Then that just sort of died out. The Allies planned a big one, and so in anticipation for this, the Allies were massing together.
Right.
But they wanted to make sure that the Germans didn't think they were going to assault from Calais. They were going to, or Amiens rather, they were going to assault someplace else. So they sent a very loud group of Canadians, a couple of battalions, towards Ypres in Belgium, where a lot of the fighting had been. And it's sort of like, be loud, make sure the Germans know you're there. Do everything you can to make sure that, and then they pulled them back. Okay, to start the fight. During the First World War, major advances in a day were considered to be a couple meters, maybe half a kilometer. First day of that offensive later became known as the 100-day offensive.
Yeah.
Canada had to be stopped. Okay, they had to be stopped because they were outrunning their logistics and artillery support.
Oh, hilarious.
13 kilometers one day.
That's commitment.
And it just kept going like that. So the Germans called us the shock group. Now, let's get something straight. The Geneva Convention was written after the First World War. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons was because of the Canadians.
Oh, wow.
The Canadians were brutal. They go into the trenches and they would take things like baseball bats with spikes through them. Yeah. They brass knuckles. Anything. And they would go in and brutalize and would be reluctant to take prisoners. Okay?
Wow.
Okay.
There's a history lesson right there.
But it's the truth.
Yes.
So, but it was the sort of thing the Germans feared us. Second World War comes along. You look at Juno Beach, the Canadian beach in Normandy. Great movie. Have you ever saw it? The Longest Day?
No.
Some of the best actors of the day. This was in the 60s. You wouldn't have been born by then. But anyways,
I was 69.
Okay, well, yeah, that's when I graduated from high school. Anyways, in the movie, Canada was mentioned as an afterthought 2 or 3 times. That's it. Wow. But yet, our beach was one of the most heavily defended along the Atlantic Wall. Yet, 37 minutes after the first Canadian boot hit the beach, we were already breaking out.
Wow.
37 minutes. The Americans, it was a couple of days.
Why do you think we're so under...
We're too damn quiet.
I don't know what the word is.
Well, we're too quiet. We have... we don't have the media that the Americans and the British have.
Because I think if more people knew these types of stories, we might take more of an interest in it. Mm-hmm. Because I can say I only know a little more now because of my partner Rob, because he's same lineage. He didn't go into military, but he did a lot of like cadets and his grandparents and uncles and everybody. I just didn't really know. And like I said to you before the interview, I've had a privileged life. I'm a little flower, that loves my freedom. And it's not lost on me that I have it because of the military. But we just don't, I think there's just not a presence about it or enough exposure.
It's really funny. In the I hear it now. I hear people that come up to and say, "Thank you for your service." Mm-hmm. Do you know when I was serving, when I was in uniform, I never once heard that.
Wow.
Not once.
I wonder what that's all about. I wonder if people were afraid.
Well,
or...
I served during Vietnam.
Mm.
And the Americans, for all of their bluster, for all of their media, they blew that war. Anyways, I don't want to get into the politics of that one.
But I could listen to it.
I could go on.
But we do need to get to talking about why you're doing this great work. And so what, I'm just jumping through now because we've answered so many of them. But even, let's just talk literally about how this all came to you. So now you've planted the seed, you're coming up to 75, you're in good shape, you went back to school, and you are now in a phase, what I heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, is now you're in your legacy phase of what is meaningful, how do I contribute, how do I give back? And this was on your mind. This was a part of your journey.
Okay.
So how do we now get to this ride?
So this ride starts on my 75th birthday.
Yes.
It's my birthday party. Okay. The Victoria Cross is pivotal in everything that I'm doing with this ride. The Victoria Cross, the highest award for valor given by the Commonwealth. We have our own. Since 1973, we've had our own Victoria Cross. And I don't want to go into the cowardice of our politicians because we have yet to award it. Never. We went through Bosnia and Herzegovina and some of the things that went on there. We went through Afghanistan and the things that some of those soldiers went through and did and achieved beyond belief. But it's never been awarded. Canada has 99 recipients of the Victoria Cross, either Canadians serving with the Canadian military or even serving with the British military, or non-Canadians serving with the Canadian military. Only 99 times. The last Canadian living with the Victoria Cross was a fellow with the Seaforth Highlanders of Canada in Vancouver, Smokey Smith. Okay? Ernest Smokey Smith. He's actually from New Westminster, but that's a different story. So the last Canadian living with the Victoria Cross, that's where the ride starts.
Amazing.
Okay, and the commanding officer of the Seaforths has agreed to have a piper there to pipe us off to start.
Excellent.
Okay, so that's where it starts. And along the way, I'm going to be stopping in various places where there are Victoria Crosses that are represented at units. For example, with the Royal Westminster Regiment in New Westminster, there is the only Ukrainian to win the Victoria Cross. Was a member of that regiment. We have one John McGregor, who was a member of the BC Dragoons in Kelowna. So we'll be stopping there all along the way. And the ride ends. It seems symmetrical that the ride starts on my birthday and ends on Canada's birthday. Don't you think?
I think it's wonderful. Perfect timing.
So I arrive at this little plaza on this little street in Winnipeg that is absolutely unique in the world. Okay, during the First World War, on the 700 block of what was called Pine Street, 3 young men, well, it's probably more than that, but 3 young men in particular signed up for the war effort. Different regiments, had different ranks, went overseas, and in different battles won the Victoria Cross.
On the same street.
Same block.
Same block.
Okay. Now you remember how many Victoria Crosses have been awarded?
99.
Exactly. 3 of them on one block.
That's awesome.
Okay. So it's no longer called Pine Street. It's called Valour Road. And that is the origin of my project, the Road to Valour. It has nothing to do with anything I've done of a brave nature.
Yep. Nice attempt.
Anyways, but that's where I end. So I end at noon on Canada Day.
Wow. So we haven't actually discussed the day. We've said it's your birthday, but what day do you start?
21st of May.
Coming right up.
Oh yeah, 10 days.
Do you feel ready?
I've gone from anxiety based on, come on, let's get this thing over with, and I'm planning to trepidation, as you saw in the video that I did, trepidation to outright terror. What the heck have I gotten myself into? Oh, come on, let me get me off my butt and let's get going.
Yeah, let's just do it.
Let's do it.
And you had mentioned that people can come and ride along with you.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about that, and then let's talk about how we can get funds to you. So at any city they can...
Okay, so first of all, everything is hinged around my website. I have a website, the Road to Valour. Remember to spell it the Canadian way, not the American way.
Right.
Okay, our.ca.
Okay.
Okay.
And we'll link that as well.
Okay, thank you. I was down in California and I had a website and it was .ca, and somebody said, "How did you get a California website?"
No, it's Canadian. Yeah, just shake.
Just shake your head. Yeah, it's American. Anyways, so everything's there. If you're interested, one of the pages up at the top on the bar says the route. Mm-hmm. On there, I've got the route laid out, and in fairly good detail. So if you want to join me for a bit of it, great. If not, come on and just cheer me on. I'll be going through. If you want to join me, there are some rules. I call them the rules of engagement. Seems like a proper military term, don't you think?
I like it.
Couple of things. One, I do not ride with anybody who does not wear a helmet. Period. Okay? Don't have a helmet. Don't even consider. Second thing is it's a fundraiser. So if you're going to join me, welcome to it. Follow along with the terms of the rules of engagement, and I'm asking $2 a kilometer that you're riding with me. Okay.
That's
that
fair.
Seems reasonable.
Absolutely.
Okay. So that's what I'm. So it's there, route page, and there's a button that says terms of engagement or rules of engagement rather, and just click on that, and there you go.
And that's where they can actually make their donation.
They can make the donation because there's little red buttons all over the place that
donate,
say either donate or support.
Right.
And support.
And where does support? I cut you off. Go ahead.
And it'll take you to a page, and just click on my name, and because there's several other team members that are also raising money. Now I don't care. You want to click on somebody else's name? Click on somebody else's name.
Yeah.
I don't care. It's about raising money. So you were going to ask me a question. Where does this money go?
Yes.
Okay. It goes to Wounded Warriors Canada. 100% of all donations. Unlike, and I don't want to throw dirt at people, but many people do fundraising events like this. They'll run across the country. They'll ride their bike across whatever, and then siphon off 10 to 20% to cover expenses. I'm footing personally all of the expenses of this event.
Wow.
Okay, so that is part of what I'm doing as within this. So you can rest assured that 100% of your donation will go to where it needs to go. Okay, which means I don't have a sag wagon. I don't have a support vehicle.
Right.
I am riding my bicycle, a touring bike, steel bike, not a carbon fiber thoroughbred. This is a Clydesdale, okay? And I'm carrying all my camping gear, all my cooking gear, clothes, all of that. So my bike, fully loaded, weighs in somewhere around 40 kilos, which for those who still are working the other system, it's getting close to 100 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
How are you going to get through the mountains?
Well, the 2,700 kilometers is relatively easy. It's the 15,000 meters of climbing.
Yes.
And, well, last summer I was in Scotland. My wife and I did a tour of Scotland by bike. And for all of the majesty and the beauty of the castles that they build and the cathedrals and all of that, and I've got Scottish ancestry,
We
so I can
say from your last name.
I can say this without too much getting through. They haven't figured out how to put a switchback into a hill. So the mountains aren't big there. We call them hills. They call them mountains. But 20% grade,
Okay.
like 6 to 10% is brutal. Here,
Yeah.
20% up or down. Yeah, with on a bike that weighs that much.
Yeah. So you've trained, is what you're saying. You're ready for it.
I'm accustomed to hills.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a hill. Get over it.
Yeah, just literally.
Literally.
And figuratively.
And figuratively. Yeah, exactly.
So, and people can just, if they're somewhere camping or whatever, they know that you're coming through. If they want to show up and just support, like you don't have to be riding, you don't have to anything. You can donate without getting your butt off of the computer desk chair.
You just
hit
go
donate.
to your computer, hit the donate button, and the money will be accepted.
What will the money go towards? How is, like 100% of the funds are going to Wounded Warriors Canada.
Yes.
What will that do? What
it goes to is basically they support the mental health programs. They have clinicians, mental health professionals that work with people, like the two ladies that run the Warrior Kids Camp. They run programs for the veterans and first responders who have the problem, but they also have programs for families together, husband and wife together, and for the widows and widowers.
Yes.
And I have too many friends who are widows or widowers of, and I don't want any more. So that's a big chunk of what we're doing. But also, I want to stress one thing.
Yeah.
I want to stress one thing really, really loud and clear. It takes an awful lot of courage to ask for help, especially when you've been beaten down with the be strong type stuff. But if you need help, please ask for it. Reach out to me, I'll help. Reach out to somebody you can count on. If you know somebody who you think is struggling, is having problems, ask how you can help. And whatever you do, do not accept, I'm fine. FINE is an acronym. It means feelings inside not expressed. And
so true.
You
said that at the Rotary when you were talking about this, and I had never heard it expressed like that. I mean, I've got a bazillion acronyms in my little toolkit, but that is so true. We make light of, when a woman says, fine, they're not, but it's true for men as well.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
And it's that third leg. It's one of the legs of the stool. So we need to pay attention
Absolutely.
to it. Yeah. Well, I think this is a brilliant way to wrap it up with that conviction and knowing that is where the money all goes. Is there anything, because we did skip a couple questions, but is there anything else that you wanted to add before we wrap up?
Remember, our military hits way above its weight class. We are, the Germans feared us, both wars. The Germans feared us. They knew that when the Canadians showed up, there's no way around it. But on the other hand, having served in the military, I never wanted to go to war.
Yeah. And
the guys beside me who wanted to go to war were the guys I didn't trust. You've got to trust the guys beside you, because when you go into battle, it's the guy beside you that you're fighting for.
Right.
Not for crown, not for country, not for the dollar. It's the guy beside you. And so you got to be able to trust him.
Yes. Powerful. Well, we're going to wrap it up on that, because that is a perfect way to end. And this has been such a meaningful conversation. I think is very timely with all the things that are happening politically, which we won't get into. But I do think with our military sort of beefing up and all the initiatives that are going on, This is an absolutely important information and an important cause. For those listeners that are just tuning in at the end, this will be posted on YouTube. It will also be featured on Rogers TV. We would love to encourage you to share the heck out of this, talk about it, visit the website. The website is Wounded Warriors.
The Road to Valour.
Oh, go to the Road to Valour. Thank you for correcting me. .ca.
And it's the Canadian Valour.
And it's the Canadian Valour. I've been speaking with Garry McCracken, team lead of the Road to Valour, a 2,700 kilometer race not across Canada, just to Winnipeg, which is still a feat in itself.
For most Europeans,
that would be across Canada.
That would be across into half a dozen other countries.
Yes. In support of veteran and first responders' mental health through Wounded Warriors Canada, while also honoring the stories and sacrifices woven into Canadian military history. Again, you can learn more, follow the journey, and support this project at theroadtovalor.ca. This has been Janesse Pearson, and you've been listening to Happy on Purpose.
Thanks for being here. You can find more Happy on Purpose conversations on YouTube.